G'day guys, so in the previous video I showed the alpha hunting boat, which is designed so you can easily kill alpha dinosaurs by hand. So in this video I'm just going to go through a quick tutorial on how to build it. First, by centering the build with a pillar. So get your pillar out and grab the rudder. Now things have changed, now it shoots off the front of the raft, so just pull it back as far as possible over the top of the mast and set it down. Now, one of the rules of lowering foundations is if a pillar is placed half a square away from another pillar, it'll be down one level. So you can see that's sitting half a square away and it's lower than the other one. So yep, you can keep repeating that to lower it down incrementally. Now there is a problem with only using this method, because we want a foundation centered over the top of that mast, which in turn will place one over the top of the rudder, which is the effective build center of the raft. So for this boat we need to use the level just above the raft. So this won't work. Yes, it will work if you want the foundation level with the raft. If you're fully enclosing the raft, that's not a problem. But in this case we won't be. So demolish all that. That wasn't important, that was just a discussion on how to lower using just pillars. From here on in we're going to be making the alpha killing boat. So again, center the build by placing a pillar over the mast, pulling it back as far as possible. One pillar back, half a square away, demolish the first pillar and place another pillar over the top of the mast and demolish the second pillar. Now a foundation next to that pillar that maintains that full square distance. Place a pillar within the foundation, demolish the foundation to remove that high snap point and place another foundation over the top of the mast, and that's the level that we're going to build off. So place down the 6 front squares. Then we need to lower one over the rudder so we can access it. So place a pillar in the center square and find the lowest snap point over the rudder. Fill in the 2 remaining squares at the highest snap point. So that's the standard 3x3 foundation that we've covered heaps of times before. Okay, so now we're going to extend the foundation. A line of thatch ceilings along the back, and yes, it must be thatch. And now you can snap the foundation underneath them. Make sure the center one is at that higher snap point, directly underneath the ceiling. Demolish the thatch ceiling and the foundation will remain. Okay, so 2 more out along the center. Exactly the same way as before. Thatch ceiling out, then foundation underneath. And 1 more 3 wide. Then go through and demolish all the thatch. So that's the back end done. Now to extend out the front. 2 rows 3 wide. And that's as far as you can go. This is as long as you can make a boat in arc. And drop your foundation underneath the ceilings. So the boat's going to be 9 squares long by 3 wide. In this view you can see how the rudder is the centre of the boat, and how you can extend it 4 squares either side from there. Now place 2 ramps down each side of the rudder. Now I'm going to create the stacked foundation barricade at the back to hold the alpha dinosaurs back. So place a ceiling forward from one of the back corners and place a pillar down from that. Now, starting next to the pillar, you can stack the foundations underneath, 3 wide. The pillar and ceiling can be demolished now, and the rest will remain. Now this barricade at the back, being too deep, will hold back Alpha Raptors and Alpha Carnos just fine. But if you want to take on Alpha Rexes, you'll need it 5 deep. So just keep repeating the same process. So off the bottom foundation, a ceiling out, a pillar down, and then stack the foundation across. Then remove the ceiling and pillar. Repeating that until you have a 5x3 stacked barricade. So yep, the first foundation you place does need to be next to that pillar. Now we don't need a solid wall, so demolish the bottom centre one and the side centres. And that's the foundation and barricade complete. Okay, so let's start on the front cab. With 4 angled walls at the front, snapped onto the outside 2 foundations, so the wood's facing each other. You're going to need 3 walls back on each side, all the way back to the ramps. And it's also going to be built too high. That's so we can fit in things like the smokehouse and refrigerator, because we're going to have to store a lot of prime meat. Okay, so that's the sides in. Now place the front door in. That's snapped to the second foundation back. A wall above that. A ceiling in. And 2 walls down from the side of the ceiling. You want to place all this down before you start on the sloped ceilings, as they can obstruct things. Now place 2 sloped ceilings up off the front on each side. Now 1 row of flat ceiling. And 1 more row of sloped ceiling down at the back. Okay, now you can place the 2 corner back walls in, but for the time being we don't want to build around the rudder. If you try building walls directly around that, you'll have to start ducking under the door, which is a pain in the arse. So place 1 ceiling on the side and then 1 over the rudder. And then 2 walls down from the ceiling above. It's a bit of a gamble getting those placed, but the wood should face the rudder. Like that. Now we're going to place the rear door. Now if it's vibrating all over the place and you can't get it to sit right, first place a ceiling over the top of the rudder. That should make life easier. The front cab is now complete. Now to outfit it with some accessories. I like to put some railing along the narrow section at the back. This isn't really required, but I think it makes it look better and stops you strafing off the edge. Get the back and front door in. Put some wings off the side to mount some plants on. In this position, they won't be shooting the alpha dinosaurs right at the back of the boat. And that's what we want. We want to kill them ourselves so we get the XP. Place the second wing and crop plot on the other side. I often get asked how to water plants on boats. The answer is still you never have to water plants that are outside. The rain does it. So next time it rains, these plants will start growing. Mount the trophy mount above the front door. This is also always a gamble. It vibrates between inside and outside, so you've got a 50% chance of it placing in the right position or not. And that's what it should look like. You might not have this yet, but that's where your Alpha X trophy goes. Now to place the Ballista. So stand on the outside ceiling at the back and place it over the top of the rudder. It's a bit tricky to keep centered as they are a bit bigger than a square. Demolish the outside ceiling. And if all done correctly, you should be able to walk under it without obstruction and not having to duck. And load him up with Ballista bolts. If you're on a PvE server, make sure you lock it as well, as they're not locked by default, unlike everything else. Now, one final thing to do to the outside is replace the ceiling underneath the Ballista with a hatch frame. That's to allow quick access to the Ballista and the roof from inside the cab. Now, you're not able to place a trapdoor underneath that Ballista to cover up the hole, but in this case it doesn't matter, as the Ballistas count as a stone structure, and they have more health than a door anyway. So it's not a weak point. If you do place a trapdoor, you'll be able to demolish the Ballista, you'll be able to open and shut the trapdoor, but you won't be able to mount it. So don't bother with the trapdoor. Okay, so now it's time to furnish it. I'll put a preserving bin down to store all the prime meat that we'll get. An industrial grill to cook all the prime meat if we need to. A mortar and pestle to help with taming if we need to use that prime meat. A smithy as the main storage and to fix and hold all the weapons. And a bed. You always need a bed. And that brings us up to the 88 piece limit. This boat is now maxed out and ready to go and hunt alpha dinosaurs. Now let's go and have a quick look at an endgame alpha hunting boat made out of metal, and then we'll go kill some alpha dinosaurs. Now the front cab on this boat is built a little bit shorter, thus using less pieces, allowing more furniture for the generator and wire and outlets and things like that, though it is a little bit tight in here. So there's the air conditioner, industrial grill, refrigerator, generator, bed, fabricator and a smithy. I don't think you really need a fabricator in a boat like this unless you plan on living in it. And the rocket turret on top. In this case I used a double ceiling to see if I could get a trapdoor in, but it didn't work. That's the reason for the raised foundation there at the back. So the metal boat is only extended one foundation forward from the raft, so it doesn't have that middle section there. Anyway, if you missed my previous video on how to quick level, the boat works by luring alpha dinosaurs out into the water and then getting them stuck on that barricade at the back, where you can just stand there and pike them in the face as they look at you, or have someone mount the ballista, which does a lot of damage. Just remember to get your ballista bolts back before you harvest it, which these two clowns didn't. There's an alpha raptor on the beach here, so you can just do a drive-by with the plants or with the crossbow and drag it out into the water. Face the back of the boat out into open water and make him approach from the back, thus hitting that barricade that we built earlier. And he'll just stand there looking at you as you can pike him in the face. If they do turn and run, they always run at 180 degrees away from you. That's why we pointed the boat out into open water. He won't find anything and he'll come back to you. Now, since you get a ton of prime meat off alpha dinosaurs, it's a good idea to have a fridge like in the metal boat that I showed earlier, as a fridge will store prime meat for 2 hours, so you can easily knock something out, starve it out, and then dump all that meat in at once to tame it. So it works well alongside a trapping boat. If you want to find this boat, it's parked alongside a trapping boat on Primitive Plus 32, opposite Kano Island, at the mouth of the river. And yep, with a barricade 5 deep you can hold back Alpha X's, But you do have to shoot them. You can't pike them. They'll bite you if you get too close. Okay, only one more thing to show. If you're on a PvP server playing by yourself, which I often am, you don't go building a big fancy boat like that, as it's a beacon for trouble. I just leave it as the big flat foundation. So people are less likely to want to destroy it. With the hatch frame being used to prevent metal tools from damaging the raft. And this one has secret storage underneath for your alpha killing tools. So a boat like this is far more likely to last on a PvP server. So here again, this is on primitive plus 32. So nearly all of these alphas were killed off that boat. They just get thrown out now. And here's some of the loot that's been collected. Okay guys, so that's it. If you haven't already and you want to know more about the alpha killing boat, check out the 4 methods for quick leveling video, which is where I first showed it. It goes into a bit more detail in certain things. And don't be weak and go subscribe to my other channel. I'm about to start filming for that other channel soon.